What's going on, guys? Woxdy here, and today I'm going to tell you about my experience playing as Mirage, the greatest bamboozler in all of Apex for the last week. I'm going to tell you about all the tips and tricks I figured out, all his abilities, and all that jazz in this video, so sit back, relax, and let's jump right on into this. So the whole idea behind this series is to demonstrate what I learned as I played through a certain Apex Legend for an entire week. The first week I decided when this game came out is that I was going to main as Mirage, so the first Legend that I'm going to do in this video is, well, you guessed it, Mirage. The first thing that we'll jump into is his abilities and what I think about them, and then I'll explain to you what my ending thoughts are on Mirage and where I see him and his abilities as playing a part in your squad. Mirage's first ability is Psych Out, and this is where he sends out a holographic decoy to confuse the enemy. Now this is one that you're going to be using a ton. This is one throughout the entire week I was using constantly. It's very easy to just pop out of like cover, throw out your decoy, and have the entire team stop what they're doing to come kill the guy that they think is running directly at him with his head cut off. I'm actually surprised at how well this ability works, considering it's something that it seems really gimmicky, but it actually works really well. Several times I'll be out in the open and I'll just throw out my decoy and the enemy team will stop what they're doing, or they'll stop shooting at me directly and start shooting at the decoy. This is one of the ones that, like I said, you're going to be using a lot. You got to get good with it. There's very limited situations that you can use it in, but it's something that you'll be using often. So that was Mirage's tactical ability. What about his ultimate ability? Well, Mirage's ultimate ability is Vanishing Act, and this is where Mirage will send out a circle of his clones around himself while he goes invisible. You can't attack, but your speed does increase, and it allows you to get either behind the enemy or get away from someone shooting at you. This is one that I only use very, very rarely. I only use it in situations where my teammates were getting pushed or ambushed and we had to get away, or I need to get around the team to try to cause like a distraction. Now, Mirage's passive ability is actually an interesting one. It's called Encore, and basically what happens is when you go down, Mirage will send out a hologram that pretends that it's dying, and you will go invisible. Now, this is really useful if you are worried about getting sweated on or getting finished or someone thirsting you. You'll send out that clone and it'll do a whole theatric of it pretending to die, and you're able to be invisible the entire time and slowly crawl away. This one's really good. I only had to use it, I mean, I use it all the time when I went down, but it's something that's very situational. It's really good for you to be able to sneak away from a fight, especially if the team isn't thirsting and killing you as soon as you go down. It's also very interesting. I wish I had the gameplay when I recorded this one, but I was able to use the gold shield to actually revive myself because I was invisible and no one noticed. So this is a really good ability, and it's something to keep in mind when you're playing as Mirage, that when you go down, it's probably a good option to crawl away. The final Mirage ability that I'm going to go over is very similar to Psych Out. Now, this is one that you can only use when you're first landing, so keep that in mind when you're trying to use this. Whenever you're landing, if you press the Psych Out button while you're in the sky, you'll actually be able to send out 2 decoys, and the decoys look like they're falling to a location. So this could be extremely useful when you're trying to put pressure on an area that your team's trying to land in, so that maybe you'll either scare away the other team, or the other team will think that you guys landed in a completely different location. Now that you're more familiar with the abilities that Mirage has as a character, let's talk about what I did for the week I played as only Mirage. What abilities I ended up using the most, and how I used them to help my team win. As I mentioned before, one of the main abilities that you'll be using a ton with Mirage is his holographic decoy. Now, you're going to be wanting to use this whenever you begin an interaction with an enemy, whether it's you trying to attack them or distract them. It's also really good to be used as a way to spot an enemy or to figure out where an enemy is camping at on the map. This is something I use quite often, and it's very useful for your teammates too, especially if they can realize that you're calling in a hologram and you're pointing it out into the big open area where everybody can see what's getting shot at, especially since you're trying to locate enemies that are either hiding or they're waiting to spot you first. So if you can get them to pull that trigger finger and give away their location, it's the best thing you can do as a Mirage player. Because Mirage's ultimate ability isn't that great, I tried not to use it most of the time that I was playing as Mirage. The pros and cons for that ability just don't seem to be the same. Like, the pros is you go invisible and you send out some decoys. However, the con is that you can't shoot, and you have to wait a certain amount of time before you even get the ability to shoot again. Now, it can come in handy when you want to turn invisible and run away from a challenge that you made, and you realize, hey, I can't take these guys on, and you bail out. But you can't shoot or turn around if you were to turn around and try to shoot at them. It's something that I don't think that this ability is that great. I don't think it's good because of that reason. I think it's awesome that you can distract, but the distraction is just a circle of holograms, and most players that have played Apex for the last week now have that gimmick realized, and overall I just don't recommend using it. It just doesn't seem that great. I do recommend spamming the holographic decoy. That's the best ability in Mirage's playbook, and I do highly recommend using the Mirages as you, or the decoys as you land. Those two are also really good, but the ultimate ability, you don't really need to have it or use it while you're playing as Mirage. The characters in your squad that you probably want to be running with when you're playing as Mirage are going to be ones that either can heal you, or they can take some damage away from you, or they have a way that you can escape, because Mirage has to deal with being able to stay at a distance to use his decoys effectively. You want to be able to get close to the fight as soon as possible if you can, where characters like Wraith come in handy for a Mirage so that you can teleport closer to the action. Same thing with a Lifeline or a Gibraltar. Being able to have some ability that can protect you or heal you after an engagement is very useful, especially since with your decoys all you're trying to do is set up a distraction at distance and then either challenge them at range with a wingman or go in with the Peacekeeper and get that final shotgun off to down their entire squad, or just to try to get one kill. But again though, with Mirage the idea is, in my opinion, to keep distance and use the decoys, and as they get distracted, push in with your shotgun or your wingman. Also, you could also push in obviously with your teammate. Overall, I would say that Mirage is a very fun character to play as, but he is not one of the better characters that you could have on your squad. The ability to use holograms to distract enemies or to confuse enemies is a great little gimmick, but it doesn't really carry him that far or make him stick out any differently than anybody else as an Apex Legend. Obviously, if they were to nerf maybe his ultimate, or I mean buff it, not nerf it, it can't be nerfed anymore if we tried, but if they were to buff his ultimate ability to do something other than just going invisible and going faster with the circle of decoys, maybe having it be able to break out of that invisibility and attack again would make that ability or that ultimate so much more enjoyable and easier to use. Until then, Mirage is a good character. He's really fun to use. I would highly recommend using him when you're playing as a solo player, and that's what I did throughout this entire week, mainly play as a solo player. Very easy to use as a solo player, especially since you can distract and kind of make call-outs in a way when you send out your decoy so that your teammates can know where the enemies are. However, for a normal squad, I would probably pick up a different legend. Overall though guys, Mirage is a great character, and if you want to play as someone different or spice it up a little bit, pick him up and go bamboozle. So, how do you guys play as Mirage, and would you agree with me that the ultimate ability is complete garbage, trash, nonsense compared to every other Apex Legends? Comment below what you think, what your thoughts are about Mirage, how you play as Mirage, and whether or not you think I'm correct about the ultimate. I really do want to know what you guys' opinions are when it comes to these characters, because I mean that's kind of one of the more enjoyable aspects of this game, is that each legend is unique. They each have their own abilities and ultimates, and it's really cool to see how other people are either using them or taking advantage of those abilities. And sometimes it might just be, as in this case with Mirage, I might just not be playing them correctly and you might have a better technique. Also be sure to comment in the comment section below what Apex Legend you would like for me to do next. I haven't really played as that many for a long period of time. Most likely my most recent or most want to do character next will probably be Caustic. Caustic is one that is very interesting looking and is very unique, so I will most likely be focusing on doing a video on him next. But be sure to let me know what legend you want me to do in the comment section below, and I will move the queue up or around and change it up side to side depending on what character you guys want to see. Until then guys, go kick some butt at Apex Legends.